Welcome back, everybody, to another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today, we are going to be talking about 3 steps to help you increase your credit by up to 150 points in an effort to get your freight broker bond approved and or cheaper. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to walk you through 3 simple steps that you can use to increase your personal credit by up to 150 points. So for those of you that are catching us on replay, hit me up in the chat box, hit me up below in the threads, reply with hashtag replay. I love to hear from my replay folks. Obviously, you can always ask questions. I'll try to come back in here later in the week and maybe answer those. For those of you that are joining me live, thank you. I always appreciate a live audience. And I'm here every week, Mondays at noon, with a new free live freight broker training. So today, I just told you what the topic is. We're going to talk about some steps and tips on how to improve your personal credit by up to 150 points, which is going to help a lot of people get approved for their bond if they have really bad credit, or if they've got decent credit, is going to save them a lot of money. And I'm going to explain that entire process to you. It's actually relatively simple. Okay. So thank you for joining me again. I'm going to give some shout outs really quick for those of you that are, live here or wherever you're on. Let me know the city and state where you're logging in from, and I'm going to give a few shout outs. But before I do that, really quick, I'm going to do another free giveaway. I got the shirt on today. I got it on. It's called Freightpreneur. I'm going to give one of these shirts away to one lucky listener. You're going to have to be live on this in order to get this. But all you have to do to get this shirt, Freightpreneur, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you don't understand. If you get one of these shirts free, given away, I give them away almost every week now, is to share the stream. So all you got to do, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're at, share the stream. I don't care where you share it, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Send an email to 3 of your friends with this link. Let everybody know about the Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. That's the cost of admission in order to get a chance to win this shirt, okay? We've had a lot of lucky winners. And I love doing this. I love giving it away. People love the shirt. So if you want to be in a chance to win this shirt, share the stream right now, not later, right now. Because what I'm going to do is before the live Q&A, which we're going to do at the end, I'm going to draw a winner. I'm going to pick a winner randomly, and then I'm going to send them the shirt this week. Okay. So then you come back in here after you've shared the stream and type and just type hashtag shared. Okay. Hashtag shared in the comments below. And that'll let me know that you are one of the few people. Sometimes we have 10, 20, 30 people that share the stream. And then, so you got a really good chance of actually winning the shirt. Okay. So if you're interested in getting a free t-shirt, again, this is US only. I'm sorry, I don't ship it international. It wouldn't make any sense. It would probably cost more than the shirt itself, but US only, of course. I will ship this out to you this week. So hashtag shared. So do that now while I'm giving some shout outs. Welcome Paul Spates from Frisco, Texas. Welcome Andreas Petro from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. All right, we got 2 countries in the house already. Welcome Nelson from Florida. Welcome Val from Newhall, California. Welcome Tiffany from Berlin, New Jersey. Welcome Budalaziz from Houston. Welcome Alvaro Flores from El Paso, Texas. Javier from Edinburgh, Texas. Sergio from Austin, Texas. Wow, Texas is in the house today. Awesome. Welcome, Billimer. Ooh, geez, I just had a big jump here, so I got to scroll back. Sorry about that, guys. Welcome, Joe Blacksey from Fort Lauderdale. Welcome, James Young from Joliet, Illinois. Welcome, David Wilder. Welcome, Cindy Kane, as always, from Houston. Welcome, Roy Harris from Chicago. Priscilla Onya from Sacramento. Michelle from Springfield, Ohio. Kristen Diane from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Renee from Warren, Michigan. The Billimer from Portland, Oregon. Precious Roberts from Ali, Georgia. Waldo from St. Louis. Randy from Boston, Mass., the Boston boy. Precious Roberts from Atlanta. Corey Miller from Beaver, Utah. Shardrick Lewis from Atlanta, Georgia. Carrie from Buford, Georgia. Thank you so much for being live. I really appreciate you guys being here live. I know how valuable your time is. And I know time is a precious commodity that you can't get back. So I really appreciate it. Amanda from Ontario, Canada. Welcome, Amanda. Roy. Okay, Peter. What do we got here? From Sarasota, Florida. Peter Corneal from Sarasota, Florida. Nadia Ridges from Wake Forest. Man, we got so many people here. Okay, cool. We got Perry from Raleigh, North Carolina. We got Willie. Okay, listen, if I don't get to your name, I apologize. I'll try to get to it next week. I truly appreciate your time. I know how valuable your time is. So thank you for being here live. If you're catching this on replay, that's great too. Totally cool with that. Comment in the chat box. Let us know that you're on replay. So today, for those of you that are just joining here and haven't caught the intro here, today we're going to talk about 3 steps to help you improve your credit by up to 150 points, which will help you get your freight broker bond approved and or cheaper. Maybe you've already got a freight broker bond, but maybe you're paying too much for it and you want to reduce that annual cost, because that can be a significant cost. Now, I got a little bit of a framework here I want to work through. You know, I always have notes, right? And so first, I want you to understand today I don't think I've ever shared this information on any of the lives. We haven't really talked about credit, but I get questions all the time about where do I get my freight broker bond and how much is it going to cost? And can I do it with bad credit? How can I improve my rates? How can I get better credit? I hear these questions all the time. So I decided to do this training because I think it's very relevant and contextual to you. Credit is going to be a part of the process. So the 3 steps in order to improve your credit by up to 150 points, which will help you get your freight broker bond approved and or cheaper, is this. First, you need to understand this. This is not a step, but before we dive into that, you need to understand that if you are going to get your freight broker authority, if you are going to become a licensed freight broker with the FMCSA, you are going to need to get a freight broker surety bond. That's one of the requirements in order to become an active and legal freight broker, okay? And your freight broker surety bond, the approval and cost of that bond are determined mainly by your personal credit rating, okay? Your personal credit. And so that's the reason for this lesson today. It's the reason for this training today. So what you have to understand is that the lower your credit score is, so the worse your credit is, the more your bond is going to cost, and or you may not even get approved at all if you have really, really, really bad credit. The better your credit is, the higher your credit score is, the less your bond is going to cost on an annual basis. So let me give you a kind of some context to that. I have seen people with really good credit, maybe 800 plus credit scores, get their bond for $950 a year. Very low cost, okay? Now, you have to have really, really good, excellent credit to do that, but $950 per year. And I've also seen on the other side of the spectrum, people with really bad credit get a bond for over $9,000 a year. So do you see the difference between good credit and bad credit? Now, don't automatically exclude yourself where you stand today. Maybe you have bad credit. Maybe you're not even sure what your credit is and you think you have bad credit. Let me walk you through these 3 steps, and I think you'll be surprised, because particularly the last one, some of the stuff that I'm going to share with you today is not groundbreaking, but it's fundamental to getting and building good credit. And it will help to impact your credit very quickly, usually in a 30 to 45 day period of time. But the last thing I'm going to share with you, step 3, the tip at the end here, is probably something you've never heard of before and is a hack that really, really works. And I'll share the proof with you, okay? So step number 1 is simple. What you need to do is you need to pull your credit report and find any negative credit marks on your credit report, anything that's negatively affecting your credit report. So you can pull your credit report. You can go to Equifax.com or you can go to CreditSesame.com. I'm not affiliated with either one of those companies. Credit Sesame will give you a free credit report, I think, once a year. Beyond that, you might have to pay. So you could go, again, to get a free credit report, go to CreditSesame.com, or you could go to Equifax. I think that's a pay service. That's the service that I use because I have credit monitoring and stuff on there. And so go there and pull your credit and identify anything negative that's impacting your credit. In particular, what I want you to look for is I want you to look for collections accounts, okay? I want you to look for collections accounts And secondly, I want you to look for inaccuracies, right? Anything that's inaccurate. For example, an account that's actually closed that's still showing open, or a balance on your account that you know you've already paid off, or the dates are wrong, or accounts that you never even set up, things that are inaccurate about the trade lines on your credit report, okay? And what you're going to want to do, any inaccuracies within your credit report, you're going to want to challenge them. You're going to want to dispute them with the credit reporting agencies. If you go to Equifax.com, they have a dispute process where you can go into any of the trade lines and actually dispute it. It's all online. And the way the dispute works is that if the trade line, whoever the creditor is, can't provide proof that that information is accurate, they have to remove it, okay? So that's a simple step. You can challenge any negative or inaccurate data that's on your report, okay? Number two, when you're not step two, but the second part of that is you need to look for collections accounts. Anything that's in collections, right? It'll show a collections account. It's placed in collections. What you need to do is you need to get those paid off, right? So you need to pay those off. There's two ways to do it. You can pay the balance in full by contacting the collection agency, or you may be able to settle those debts. So if you owe $2,000 on a credit card from 5 years ago, they may offer you a settlement for $1,000 to pay that off. Now, if you can pay the balance in full, it's always better. But sometimes a settlement is all you can afford, and that will get that collections account closed. Now, they're not going to remove it from your report probably, okay? Chances are they're not going to remove it, but it will pay the balance off, and it will close that account, which will have an impact, a positive impact on your credit, okay? So step number one was pull your credit report, dispute any inaccuracies, and pay off any collections accounts, right? So that's step number one. Step number two is you need to look at that credit report and you need to pay down any outstanding balances. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. Let's say you have a credit card that has a $5,000 limit, okay? It has a $5,000 limit on a credit card and you owe $4,000 on that credit card. What you want to do is you never want to carry a high balance on your credit cards. And what I mean by a high balance is a high percentage of your credit line, okay? So 4,000 of 5,000, I'm not very good at math, but that's like 80%. You're carrying an 80% balance to the total credit allowed. What you want to do is you want to pay that down and try to only utilize about 10% of that credit on a recurring basis. So ideally with a $5,000 credit, credit line on a credit card, what you want to do is you only want to utilize maybe 500 to 1,000, and you want to pay that off every month that you can. So if you have a $5,000 balance, paying it down to 2,500 or 2,000 or 1,000 is going to raise your credit. It's going to increase your credit because they look at the credit to debt ratio. And that's one of the things they're going to look at in order to measure your credit. So any outstanding balances that you can pay down, open accounts, closed accounts, whatever it is, if you can pay those down, it is going to help improve your credit, okay? So that's step number two. You want to use that credit report, identify any open balances that are high, and then pay those down as much as you possibly can, all right? Step number three, this is the one you're going to want to lean in on a little bit, okay? Because it's probably something that you haven't heard. I would say 9 out of 10 people that I talk to have no clue that this even exists, all right? Step number three is called the piggyback or authorized user method. So this is a strategy where someone who has, let's say, bad credit, let's say, for example, you have a 500 credit score, right? That's really bad credit. Let's say you have a 500 credit score and you want to increase your credit score dramatically. You've already taken step number one and step number two, and you still want to get higher credit. Say you want to get up to 700 or even higher. What you would do is you would find somebody, a friend or family member that has good credit and has a credit card with typically something they've had for a while or has a higher credit line, and you become what's called an authorized user on their account. So they would have to add you as an authorized user on the account. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to be using their account. But if you get added to somebody else's credit who has good credit, it is going to immediately and dramatically increase your credit. So let me explain to you a couple scenarios. friends and family members that have done this, that I know personally that have done this, have raised their credit scores. One of them raised their credit score from 620, just with this piggyback method, 620 to 758. We're talking about in 30 days. Another one did 620 to 715. Another one did 590 to 680 credit score. And another one they were in the low 650s and they raised their credit score to 797. Okay. So I promise you, these strategies work. And what you have to understand is that if you're able to raise your credit from, let's say 550 to 700, okay, just a hypothetical. Say you have bad credit at 550 and you're able to use these strategies to raise it up to 700, you are going to save thousands of dollars a year on your bond, not to mention if you raise your credit and then you refinance your mortgage or you refinance your car loan, you're going to save a ton of money. I mean, there is a ton of money to be saved if you are able to leverage these simple three-step strategy in order to increase your credit. So that's an example. Those are 3 steps. Number 1, pull your credit, challenge any of your inaccuracies, and pay off your collection accounts. Step number 2, pay down any balances that are outstanding, high balances that are outstanding as much as you can. You know, that $5,000 credit line with a $4,000 balance, pay that down to below $1,000 as much as you can. That's going to bump up your credit. And number 3 is the piggyback method, where you find somebody, a friend or family member, your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, who sets you up as an authorized user on one of their credit cards that's in good standing, that they've had for a while, that has a higher credit line. Now, and then what'll happen is that's going to bump up your credit report, or that's going to bump up your credit score dramatically. Now, you don't need to stay on that credit card for forever, because once they pull you off that credit card, your credit's going to go back down. But in the meantime, you will have applied for your bond and they will have pulled your credit. And at that point, they're going to give you a rate reflective of what your credit score was on that day, not what it was prior or what it is afterwards. Okay. Because they don't pull your credit again after that. They're not going to change your rating. They really only pull your credit once, right? So that's the simple strategy. The cool part about the piggybacking method is that you're never even going to get the credit card. It's going to go to the person who's the user, the authorized user. You're going to get to who's the owner of that credit card, and they can simply just cut it up so nobody ever uses it. So there's no risk to them. There's no cost to them. And it dramatically helps your credit, which could save you thousands of dollars. Okay. So those are my 3 steps for increasing your credit by up to 150 points to help you get your freight broker bond approved, and or to save a ton of money if you already have a freight broker bond and you think you're paying too high of a premium. Maybe you're paying $6,000 or $7,000 premium on your freight broker bond because somebody approved you, but you didn't have good credit. If you use these strategies and you increase your score by 75 or 100 or 150 points, and then you have them rerun your rating as far as your freight broker bond, you're going to save a ton of money on that annual bond cost. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you like and share the stream. Truly appreciate you being here. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like, comment, and share. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have an awesome day. Now we're going to dive into some live Q&A. Okay. So I went through that really fast. I hope I didn't go too fast. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of questions, right? So we're going to jump into the Q&A. Before we do that, we're going to do the giveaway. All right. So let's see what we got. Let me grab a quick drink here. This gives you, hint, this gives you about 1 more minute to share the stream. All right. So now this is an honor system. I can't go out and check everybody, but I want to make sure that you're being honorable. I want to give this shirt to somebody who's actually promoting the Freight Broker Bootcamp Live event. So share the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I don't care where you share it, but ultimately share the stream. And Pinterest is a great one too. We have a great Pinterest channel. And come back in here in the comments and type #shared. And I will randomly pick a winner in just a minute, and then I'll ship out the shirt to him this week, okay? Let me grab a quick drink. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got a bunch of people. All right. All right. So you got about 1 more minute. Share the stream. Cool. We got some more people sharing the stream. Awesome. All right. 1 minute. 1 minute, and then we're going to dive into Q&A. You have 1 more minute. So a couple questions here. Let me see. If you have questions, start typing them in the chat box. Let me know, and I'm going to line up some questions. I'm going to try to stick around here for, at least maybe 15 to 30 minutes. We'll see how long, depending upon the questions. But I will dive into questions here in just a minute. So make sure you're typing your questions, and then I will. All right, cool. All right. All right, cool. So let's pick a winner. I am going to randomly scroll through here. Let me find the shares. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to scroll through and randomly find a winner, okay? So give me 1 second. I'm going to scroll through. Let me close my eyes. Scroll. All right, what do we got? Oh, I missed it. Sorry, that wasn't on there. Let me try again. Here we are. Alvaro Flores, you are the winner. Alvaro Flores, you are the winner of the Freightpreneur shirt. All I need you to do right now is to go to my Facebook page, Freight Broker Bootcamp, or facebook.com/Freight Broker Bootcamp, and send me a message, okay? Send a message through that page with your name, your address, and the size of the shirt. I think I'm limited on sizes. Give me your size. I'll try to make sure we can fill it. Pretty sure I might have a large or maybe even an extra large left. I've got mediums and smalls. So let me know what size you are. Full name, address, and size. And then I'll get that out to you this week. Congratulations. Thank you for everybody that played along. Truly appreciate it. Don't worry if you didn't get it this week. Maybe you'll get it next week. Maybe I'll do it the week after. And if you guys are enjoying the giveaways, the free giveaways, let me know. If you think it's stupid, I'll stop. Trust me. Let me know. I usually have a lot of people that are kind of vying for the shirt. So I'm only doing it because I bought this shirt for myself just as kind of a gaffe, as something to wear as I was doing these lives. And all of a sudden people loved it. So I went out and bought like 20 or 30 of them. And so now I give them away from time to time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the giveaway. More importantly, I hope you enjoyed the training, because if you follow those 3 simple steps, I promise you, your credit rating will go up, and it'll go up significantly, and it'll go up pretty fast, usually in a 30 to 45 day period of time, if you follow those instructions. Okay. All right. So let's jump into some questions. What do we got? All right. Okay. So here's an obvious question and a good question. Latricia asked, but does this affect the person with good credit with a poor person on their card? No. So if you do the piggyback method, let's say I have an 800 credit score and I have a credit card, and I put my daughter as an authorized user on that card, and let's say she has no credit or bad credit. Okay. It will not negatively impact my credit at all. Their credit is never reflected on my credit report, but my positive credit is reflected on their credit report. Good question, important question, okay? I'm glad you asked it. So no, their credit will never impact my credit score, but my credit score will definitely impact theirs, okay? So just so you know, and just so you guys know, this is all 100% legal. This is 100% legal. You're not doing anything illegal. They allow authorized users on cards. Now, some banks don't allow it. Most do. But ultimately, yeah, this is 100% legal. All 3 of those steps that I gave you are 100% legal. There's nothing wrong, nothing unethical, nothing illegal, or nothing wrong doing what we're doing. This has been done kind of as a secret behind the scenes with bankers and mortgage brokers and real estate people for a very long time. It's something that I stumbled across a few years ago and actually tested out, and it worked great with some friends and family and people that I know. And so here you go, guys. You guys can do that. I'm really fortunate. I had bad credit when I was younger, just like everybody. I screwed up. It took me a long time to build my credit up. I didn't know about this hack. My credit score, I pulled it this morning, is 833, but that's because I had such bad credit when I was younger that now I'm like a Nazi and I pay my bills, diligently no matter what. So, I'm just really, really, on top of my credit and pay my bills consistently. So yeah, so there is hope. If you have bad credit, I promise you can get really good credit. It does take time, but these 3 steps will definitely help you get there faster. And will save you a ton of money on that bond, on your mortgage, and even on your car loans. All right, so I'm scrolling. All right, here's another question. All right, so here's a question from Abby. Abby asks, hello, I was wondering if after you apply for your authority with FMCSA, you have to wait 20 to 25 days for it to be active. Okay, so after you apply for your authority, okay, you are going to have to wait for them to notify you that your authority is active. When you first apply and they give you an MC number, you have an MC number, but it's an inactive authority. The only way it becomes active is after you provide proof of the BOC3, the freight broker bond, and your UCR. Once you have those 3 requirements done and they are able to check those boxes at the FMCSA, they will notify you that your freight broker authority is now active. And at the point that you get notified that it's active, you can then legally broker freight. Typically, that takes less than 30 days, assuming that you get all your paperwork in and you meet all those requirements. Okay? So good question, but that's the basic timeline of how it's going to work. Thank you, Tahara from YouTube. If you guys are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you're crazy. These lives are awesome, but I do some really cool stuff on my YouTube channel. Definitely check it out. YouTube.com/freight brokers, or you can just go on to YouTube and search Freight Broker Bootcamp or Dennis Brown, whatever, and you'll find me. You definitely got to subscribe to that channel. Thank you so much for the kind words, Tahara. So Brown Boy says, having such a hard time getting that first shipper, what should I do? Well, there's a couple things. I talk about this all the time as far as getting shippers. Number 1, find your niche. You have to identify a niche. You can't just try to be jack of all trades, master of none, okay? If you try to serve everybody, you'll serve nobody. That's the facts. So find your niche. Number 2, do your due diligence. You have to make sure you're doing your due diligence. You have to identify the right target market, right? You have to identify who you can best serve. If you're going after Fortune 500 companies, that may not be your best bet. They're typically much harder to get into and much harder to serve. So you may want to focus in on smaller to medium-sized businesses, maybe businesses that are doing 5 million up to 100 million in sales. They need you more. That's probably a little bit better niche. Third, you need to do outreach. You need to contact them. This is a sales-driven business. People are, just because you put up a website doesn't mean people are going to start calling you and asking you to move their freight. You need to start doing outreach. The 3 ways I suggest you do outreach. Number 1, pick up the phone and learn how to do cold calling or warm calling, as I talk about it, right? Use some data or some sales intelligence to try to create and develop some sort of a relationship. You develop some sort of a hook to differentiate yourself, and you can do that through cold calling. The other way is to do it through cold emailing. Find the company, find the shipping manager, find his email address, and then from there, do some cold outreach via email, the same sort of combination. You're going to use some sort of sales intelligence or information about the company, something that's relevant and contextual to them, and or some sort of a hook that you've figured out directly related back to their niche. And then you're going to use that as a way to start a dialogue and hopefully convert that email into a phone conversation. The third way would be to use LinkedIn, the same sort of way as you're using email. Find your target market on LinkedIn, connect with them, engage with them, differentiate yourself, use that as a tool to start developing some rapport and building some trust, and then convert that into a phone conversation. So I'm giving that to you at a high level, okay? Because it's very hard for me to get really deep down into the weeds because I don't know what the challenge is. In most cases, those are some of the problems that people run into. And then the last one is really they're just not touching enough people. If you think whoever you are in live video land, think that you are going to call 10 companies or even 20 companies or even 50 companies, and that is going to automatically guarantee you a customer. I got good news and bad news. I'm not sure which one you want first. The good news is during those 10, 20, 50 calls, you're going to get better with every single call. The bad news is I can't guarantee you're going to get a customer, and probability says you're not going to get a customer in your first 50 calls. So if you think this is just automatically easy and that everybody is going to become a millionaire because they get their freight broker authority, that's not true. You know, it's not true in any industry. I don't care what you go into, real estate, insurance, you know, I don't care what you're doing, right? I don't care if you're a landscaping company or a roofing company or what you do. The fact is you got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort. And so I hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit of a framework. And again, if you have specific questions, you know, feel free to dive back in. I might be able to answer some now or in a future live. Oh, and by the way, Wednesday of this week is my last module 5 of my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator class that I did. I opened it up to a limited audience a couple months ago, and we're doing module 5 on Wednesday, which is the last module. And that is a sales intensive training course. It's an advanced sales training course that I put together specifically for freight brokers and freight agents. It's not open for enrollment right now, but pay close attention, because once that's done, I'm going to put it into a course format, and I'm going to do a limited launch back to everybody in the audience to allow them to sign up. Okay. So that won't happen for another month or so, but make sure you stay tuned to this channel and to your email, because I will be opening that back up. The feedback I got is incredible. It's something I've been waiting to do I've been trying to do or been asked to do for like 10 years. I finally did it, and I think the class is turning out great. So that's just kind of a tidbit. Okay, so Tiffany asks, is a DOT training mandatory for brokers? Nope. There is no mandatory training for brokers. Okay, so the DOT, the FMCSA, nobody has a mandatory training. Now, it is highly suggested that you get some sort of training. That training can be on-the-job training, it can be a classroom training, or it can be online training like my Freight Broker Bootcamp. Good time to mention that now. Freight Broker Bootcamp is the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training program available today on the internet. Had that training program for over 10 years. Have trained over 8,000 students. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, I highly suggest you do get trained. Again, we've had over 8,000 students. If you're curious about that, check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. But the DOT and the FMCSA do not require a training or a specific training to become a licensed freight broker or a freight agent. All right, so I'm scrolling. Give me a minute here. Let's see, what do we got? Okay, Steven just sent an email to support at Freight Broker Bootcamp, and we'll jump on that today. But check your spam box, because typically one of two things happened. Either it went to your spam or junk folder, or you may have entered the wrong email with one digit off and it went to another box and is being bounced off. If that's not the case, send us something to support at Freight Broker Bootcamp and we'll jump right on it, okay? Okay, here's a good question from Joe Bloxy. What's the difference between an MC number and a DOT number, and does a broker need both? Okay, so a DOT number is a Department of Transportation identification number. That means every carrier in the United States that is a commercial for-hire carrier needs a DOT number. Now, if they are going to run between states, meaning they're going to go from New York to Pennsylvania or from Texas to California, they're going to need an MC number, right? So if they're going to cross state borders, they're going to need an MC number. If they're only going to run within the state of Texas, they only need a DOT number, okay? So I know it's a little bit confusing, but a DOT number is going to be contained just within your state. But if you have, if you're going to cross state lines, like most companies, or a lot of companies, trucking companies do, You're going to need an MC number. Okay, so now that's on the carrier side. Every broker is going to need both. When you apply to become a broker, you are going to get a DOT number and you are going to get an MC number. You're going to get both. Okay, so that's the basic framework of how that works. Hope that helps. All right, so I'm scrolling. Just give me a minute. Okay, so here's a question from the Billamare. If you have no experience as a freight agent, what factors should you weigh besides commission if you have more than one job offer? Okay, so if you want to become a freight broker agent, okay, and you're vying or vetting multiple companies that you're going to work for, potentially work with or partner with, the question is, what should you ask? What questions should you ask? Okay, so a couple questions are, how long have they been in business? Okay, ideally, you're going to want to do some business with somebody who's been in business at least a year or two, okay, that they've gotten past those initial hurdles, right? They have an actual business, all right? It's not a requirement, but it's a strong suggestion. Number two, you're going to want to ask about their credit. What is their credit like? What does their truck stop credit say? What does their DAT credit say? What does their credit look like? Okay, because that's going to be a big factor on carriers, how easy it is to book carriers on your loads. Okay. Number three, you might want to ask them what type of technology they use, what type of transportation management software. You know, what costs? What do they charge you, or what costs do you have to pay for? What costs do they pay for? Right. So those are 3 or 4 questions. Yeah, I think those would be a few. Another one would be maybe if they could share with you kind of a case study of one of their recent agents that's come on board, or a successful agent, so you can get a sense of what success is to them. How much is their top agent doing? They don't necessarily need to give you the name of the person, but maybe they can give you, the niche that they're in, and maybe they can give you how long they've been there and how much they're earning in commissions. Those are a few questions that I would ask to try to vet a broker that I may partner with, right? Because again, you want to make the right decision, and it's impossible to ask every question, but those are a few questions that I would use to probably vet a good broker program to join as an agent. And there are others, but those are a few to consider right off the top. Okay, so this may be a little bit confusing, but it says, hi, Dennis. One of the possible drivers asked me if I can provide insurance for them. He has an LLC and owns a truck. How can a broker provide insurance for owner-operator? Okay, number one, a broker can't provide insurance for owner-operator. All right, so brokers don't provide insurance for owner-operators. The only way that you can have an owner-operator operating under you is if you get your carrier authority, okay, and then you sign them on as a leased, maybe they lease on with you and you do some sort of percentage of revenue or something like that. There are carriers that sometimes have their motor carrier authority but don't own their own trucks, and they actually have owner operators that lease on with them. And sometimes that insurance cost is either split between the broker and or the carrier. Most cases it's paid by the carrier. But I've never heard of a broker paying for an owner-operator's insurance. Okay, so just so you know, so I don't want to get people too confused here. But if you're a broker, you should not be paying for a carrier's insurance. You pay them for the load that they're hauling from point A to point B, and that's it. Is there a shipper list for hazmat? I don't know if you can purchase a list for hazmat. I know that you can go online and there's probably directories or databases where you can, where you may be able to segment them out based on hazmat, or, based on some sort of SIC code or NAIS code. are, one of the industry specific codes that they have for hazmat. But I don't personally know of a hazmat directory that's specific to hazmat. Now, if you do a little bit of research, there might be something out there that you can buy or access for free, or you may be able to hire somebody off of Upwork as a contractor to go out and source all those for you very cost effectively. If you were able to put together, 5,000 hazmat leads, right? What would that be worth to you? I mean, how much do you think you could generate if you were identified that as your niche, you really did your due diligence, and then you had 5,000 leads that you could contact over the next 6 to 12 months? And how much business would you generate from that? If it cost you $1,000 to put that list together, if it cost you $5,000 to put that list together, you should easily be able to make that back in very short order. So I don't know that it's going to cost you that. You may be able to find it for free, but I'm just giving you a little perspective. Yes, you will get both a DOT and an MC number as a broker. Don't worry, you're going to go to FMCSA broker application. You're going to fill it all out and they're going to issue it. You don't have to do anything separate for the different ones. You'll fill out the application and you'll get both of those, okay, as a part of the process. Okay, so here's a question Tiffany has. I get this question quite a bit. If a driver uses a factoring company and I, as the broker, use a factoring company, which one do we use? Okay, so if you are a broker using your factoring company, you are going to factor your shipper's invoice. Okay, so your shipper is going to you're gonna get financed. So let me give you an example. Let's say the invoice to the shipper is $1,000. You run the load. You then provide the factoring company a copy of that invoice, and they're going to give you, let's say, 90 or 95% of that up front. Let's call it $900 to pay the carrier. You are then going to pay either the carrier or the factoring company, whichever they choose, but you're not going to choose both. If the carrier factors his invoice because he wants to get paid right away, then you're going to ultimately get invoiced by the factoring company and you're going to pay the factoring company. If he chooses not to use his factoring company or can choose to not use his factoring company, depending upon the arrangement, you're going to pay that carrier direct. Okay. So you're going to factor your invoice with your factoring company, and they are potentially going to factor their invoice with their factoring company. And you are going to either pay the factoring company direct or you're going to pay the carrier direct, whoever invoices you or whatever instructions you get from the carrier to make sure that that payment is made. Okay. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. There's a lot of confusion around that. So Jose has a question. Do you need to have carriers already established in order to move your first load when starting up, or can you just post on the load boards? All right. So in a perfect world, it's ideal to have carriers that you already have relationships that are specific to whatever your niche is. But that doesn't mean that those carriers are going to have equipment that's going to line up on the exact days of the loads that you're going to get from your first shippers. Okay. So it is a good idea to have relationship carriers and start developing carrier relationships right away, even before you have customers. I think it's a great idea. Number one, you're going to learn a lot about the niche. You're going to start developing relationships. You're going to understand the rates. You're going to understand the lanes. You're going to understand the lingo. So I think that's a good idea. But in many cases, as a new broker that's just moving his first load with his first shipper, you're probably going to have to post that load. You may have to post that load on a load board in order to source a carrier to meet those specific needs, because you don't know exactly where the load's going to pick up. You don't know exactly where the load's going to deliver. You don't know you don't know the timeline. There could be a variety there's lots of variables that go into moving a load. And so just because you have a relationship with a couple carriers doesn't mean they're going to actually be the carriers you're going to use for that first load. So the answer is both. I think you should start developing relationships early and often. And I think you will also have to use the load board in many cases in order to cover your first loads. Most brokers start developing relationships. Smart brokers develop them on an ongoing basis. A lot of those new relationships first come from a load board, and then they develop those relationships where now they don't need to look at the load board because they can just simply call that carrier. They know they provide good service. They know they cover that lane. They know they provide fair rates. So at that point, they just reach out to them direct. But a lot of carrier relationships originate from load boards. So I hope that helps, Jose. Okay, a couple more questions and we're going to wrap it up for today. All right, so I get this question all the time. I'm actually going to do a video on it for my YouTube channel soon. I'm hoping to do this soon. So the question is, what do you think about digital freight brokers versus traditional? All right, so here's the thing. Every industry needs to evolve. I've been saying this for years, okay? You do not want to be the number one buggy whip salesperson in the world because nobody buys buggy whips, okay? So here's the thing. You need to evolve just like every industry. So if you are a broker that's still doing loads or expecting to be able to build a real business doing loads on paper and Excel spreadsheets, and you're not leveraging technology, you're probably not going to thrive. You may stumble along for a while, but you're probably not going to thrive. So what you need to do as a freight broker, a freight agent, you need to evolve and you need to leverage technology to enhance your offering, to make it less expensive for you to operate and to offer a higher level and more valuable service. The good news is today, it's easier than ever to do that because you have tons of transportation management software and software companies that offer you software very inexpensively that I didn't have back in 2003 when I started my brokerage. I went and built my own software, invested over $1 million in that software. And, it turned out to be a good investment, but it was a costly investment that most people can't have. And if I started today, I wouldn't build my own software. I would use other people's software because they've already spent millions of dollars to develop it. So there's ways you can leverage technology. So old school brokers operating off of Excel spreadsheets and legal pads is probably not the way to thrive in the next 10 years. So you need to leverage technology to help you enhance your offering. Now, that's all digital brokers are really doing. They're leveraging technology to try to streamline the process. The big question is, do I think that digital freight brokers like Uber or Amazon are going to eliminate freight brokers and freight agents? And the answer is definitively no. Okay? I do not believe they are going to eliminate freight brokers and freight agents. This is not taxi service. It's not the same. It's totally different. And I promise you, the complexities involved and the dollar value of a load, and the trust factor that it takes in order to do business with a shipper, they don't want automation. What they want is hands-on customer service. And so what I'm telling you is digital brokers are going to be a part of the new landscape. They already are, but they're not going to be anything more than big brokers, right? So the fact is none of them have even proved out their business model yet because none of them have gotten any scale with profitability. They're all losing money hand over fist. Check the numbers, do the research. How long are they going to be able to lose money before they have to close up shop or they have to raise their rates dramatically, at which point they now are no different than a normal broker, okay? So I've done my research. I've been in the industry for over 17 years, and I'm not saying I'm always right, but here's what I can promise you. Digital brokers are not going to go away, but neither are regular brokers, okay? But what you have to do is you have to learn to evolve and you have to leverage technology like modern and current and up-to-date transportation management software in order to enhance your offering to your customers. And one of the biggest things you need to do, and you've heard me say it before, is you need to differentiate yourself. Niche down and differentiate yourself. Rather than being a jack of all trades, master of none, which is what those digital brokers are doing, you need to niche down and be much more specific and customize your messaging and your service to that exact niche, and you'll win. Whew. All right, maybe I'll just take that and make that the video. All right, so one more question. Leonardo Molina. Yeah. Where can I get a surety bond if I don't have an SS number and live outside of the United States? In order to get a surety bond, you are probably going to need, you're going to need a social security number, or you would probably need a business with really good credit, but I think they're going to automatically run your social security number. So you're going to probably have to find a partner or an investor or somebody in the US that's going to allow you to do that. I know that's what my friend and past student Yogi Goswami did. Yogi is from India, Goa, India. He's sometimes on these lives, and he has a partner here in the United States that I'm pretty sure they used his social security number and credit in order to get the freight broker bond and get the freight broker authority set up. And he's one of the partners and owners. I don't know the specific details there, but from time to time, you'll see him join these lives. I've also featured him in different videos. He's also a part of my Freight Broker Bootcamp community for paid members. And he's just very giving and open and very helpful to everybody that tries to, that has questions or wants to, specifically if they're from a foreign country. Okay, so I'm scrolling. One more question. All right, so here's a question from Precious Roberts. Can you have two brokers working under the same corporation? Example, can I register my authority under my boyfriend's BF Freight Brokerage, LLC, MC number, as an employee if I'm listed as an operating member of the LLC? Okay, so here, if you have a freight broker authority, you, your boyfriend, your husband, or any combination of those, if you have a legal, active freight broker authority, that freight broker authority can have as many employees under it that are working for that brokerage. Or you can have agents that work under that brokerage, but there's only going to be one freight broker authority that you're operating under. Okay. So think of it like a veil or a window. Just, it's a license that everybody in that LLC or corporation operates under. Okay. So you are either going to be an employee, a salesperson, an operations person, or maybe they're just a freight broker working under it and they have their own book of business, or maybe they're going to be an independent agent, which is a contractor where they're on straight commission and they're going to operate under that authority. So you only need one authority per freight brokerage, and you can have as many people work under that freight brokerage authority as you want. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. It was a little bit confusing question, but I hope that answers the question. So, all right, listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I answered a bunch of questions. I hope I provided some great value. If you liked what I had to say, make sure you're back Monday at noon. Please like the stream. Whatever you do, smash the like button. Let me know that you like this. I will continue. If you hit the like button and you comment and you share, that's the price of admission. I don't charge for these free trainings every Monday at noon. I will continue to do these free trainings every Monday at noon if you guys continue to engage. So the only way I can measure that week to week is by the level of likes, comments, and shares on the live stream. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, if you are curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, and you're just sitting on the fence and you're not quite sure what to do, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We trained over 8,000 students. We offer a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. We've been in business over a decade. We've got great reviews. We're the most cost-effective, comprehensive online freight broker training available today. Again, check it out at Freight Broker Bootcamp. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next week.